I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ambassadorial Wing, and I am your host, as always, the Ambassador. Glad y'all could tune in this evening for this for the stream. We're going to be covering I think, a great topic, a couple of great movies from the 80s and 90s, Terminator 2 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And with me this evening, I've got my merry band of miscreants, and we're going to bring them all on in here in just a second. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share this out with your friends, especially if they love Terminator. So we're going to have some fun tonight. And first off, a man who needs no introduction. You know him. You love him. He is mad. He is crazy. He is wacky. And he is a good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the one and the only Loki.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good evening, Loki. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Ambassador?
Doing just fine. And next up, another man who doesn't need any introduction. He is the man of many faces and many names, but we all just call him Orange. Good evening, Orange Hat.
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue of a metal endoskeleton. How y'all doing?
Good to see you, Orange, as always. And next up, he's creepy, he's kooky, he's altogether ooky. He is Speaker for the Dead. Good evening, Speaker.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Doing just fine. Speaker, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm finally home this week, so I'm doing a lot better now.
Good. Excellent. Glad. And as always, glad you could be here, sir, and love the new avatar. Very, very cool. Very, very creepy. Next up, he is a class. He's an iconoclast. He is just a really groovy dude. We've got with us this evening, Classic Comments. Good evening, Classic. Good to see you, sir. And I think he's still muted.
Hello, everyone.
There we are. How you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Good. Glad you could be here tonight, along with the rest of this merry band of knuckleheads. And last, but certainly not least, we have got the nobody who is not a nobody. He has become a fast friend of the channel and a good friend of mine. We've got the nobody geek, Jesse. Good evening, sir.
You forgot to say please. I was like, God, I hope nobody else came up with that after you said it.
I should have brought you in first. That would have been awesome.
Hey, I'm gonna be totally honest here. I've got to say some things. Orange Hat, great to see you again. Ambassador, great to see you again. Loki, great to be in the same chat with you.
Oh yeah, bro.
I am such a fan of yours.
Really?
Your last Picard thing was just great. It was nice and inspiring. It was like, okay, made me feel like, there's hope for us geeks.
Dude, I hope so. I really do, because as many times as I've kicked that show in the nads and it's still up, I just, man, I hope you're right.
So, and to everyone that's in the chat and those who will be coming in, first and foremost, to my moderator, Shea Storm Dragon, mother of mods and kicker of all booty. It's good to have you on as always, ma'am. Thank you for being here. And to the chat, also Irving Spiderman. First time one, but I've seen him in my Twitter feed. Good to see you, sir. To NetCat, welcome. Let's see who else we got in here. Sir Nerdlot. Sir Nerdlot, good to see you, sir. Glad you could pop in this evening. And we've also got Dave Bob. Dave Bob, good evening, sir. And I think, unless I am wrong, and I'm generally not, we have got the Momonies. Josh and Rebecca, good evening, folks. Good to see you. And also, got another one. RR, welcome, sir.
Oh,
nice little robot head there.
Oh, awesome.
And also, we've got Over Easy Mode. Good evening, sir. Glad you could pop in this evening. I hope you enjoy the stream. So, all right, fellas. We're not going to sit on ceremony here, although we've got a little bit of ceremony, so to speak. We're going to just hit the ground running, and we're going to pop back a few, and we're going to talk about Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And I think, honestly, we'll go ahead and just start off with at the beginning with Terminator. And this one, obviously, this is a movie I have seen more times than I can count. I think that's true for everybody in the chat and everybody on the panel tonight. But I was mulling over what in the world am I going to cover this weekend? I had no idea, and then it popped in my head. Hey, why don't you do Terminator? Everybody likes Terminator, and I'm like, yeah, I can do Terminator. So tonight we're going to talk all things Arnold and Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn and Robert Patrick. And, of course, I think we'll have several very bad Arnold impersonations going on throughout the evening. So, guys, your initial thoughts. Let's start off with what you just in general love about Terminator 1. And then we'll segue over to Terminator 2.
How do you want us to go about answering? Do you want us to go from the way it's seen, like Loki, Orange, me?
I'm flexible. So whoever wants to chime in first, chime in first.
Okay. I'll go first. Screw it. I'll go first.
Thank you.
We'll do it live.
Basically, my thoughts on Terminator. I saw that movie when I was like 5 years old, and that was back in 1990 when I saw it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say I had the biggest crush on Linda Hamilton, because I mean everybody knows that scene now. But the movie, after watching it as an adult, it's still a great movie. I mean, you gotta love the cast that they had: Earl Bowen, Lance Henriksen, Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton, Schwarzenegger. You just got great people in that movie.
Lance
Henriksen
is a national treasure, and I'm just throwing it out there. Period. In discussion.
I mean, you're also missing Orange. You're missing one, Paul Winfield.
Yep. But yeah, freaking Lance Henriksen is just a crazy cop, man. It's like he just does so well with it.
Captain, can you say Captain Inappropriate? Honestly,
Yeah.
can you say Captain Inappropriate? Because he's telling all the worst stories at the worst possible time. Sarah's sitting there as a nervous wreck. She has been through hell. She's been around this, what she thinks is a wacko who says, I'm from the future. And your son's going to be the savior of humanity. And he has that 80s junkie look if nobody else does. Poor Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, could have been a PCB. Shattered every bone in his hand. Wouldn't have felt the thing. You see the scar?
Okay. You know what you were seeing right there? Hey, if anybody's been on here before, they know where I saw 99.9% of all movies I've ever seen in my life. For those of you who don't,
your grandmother's stories from your grandmother's basement.
Stories from my grandmother's basement. Here's the thing, though. I was watching that the first time with my grandmother, and I had to ask her what the heck that meant.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I loved the movie. I love the Terminator franchise, but we're only discussing the first two. So Yeah, that movie is still iconic today.
Yeah, honestly. Speaker, classic, Loki. Any initial thoughts you want to share? Like,
Well,
where is okay? Here's
I mean-
here's a quick question because Orange and Jesse have brought this up. Where is the first place you remember seeing Terminator? The first one.
Probably on the floor of my
seen it.
parents' house.
Yeah, on cable.
Okay.
I think the first time I ever saw it, I was we were at my family's for Thanksgiving, and for some reason, everybody in our family thought, "Hey, you know what we ought to show is a rated R movie to a bunch of kids and stuff like that." And all I remember is the music. The music grabbed me, and I couldn't leave because it's such an epic kind of iconic song. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger had a lot of those in his, the theme from Conan, this one. I mean, there was a lot of things, but I remembered that vividly, sitting there reading the scroll, as it's telling you the backstory of what's happened, and then jumps you into the movie, and I was just like, what is that? I think I can't remember what I was, like 8, but yeah, it was very
I was in the same boat as you were, except mine was Aliens. It was almost, I kid you not, almost verbatim what he just said was me for Aliens. And I woke up that night. My grandmother actually got out of bed, and I flipped out because I was on the couch in my dad's apartment. And I about flipped out. I'm like, I just seen the movie Aliens. And I'm like,
Loki, what about you? When's the first time you ever saw the first Terminator? If you can recall. Loki?
I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. I was talking, but I have no idea. So I wasn't muted. So I was laying on the floor on the carpet at my parents' house and saw it. I know that I saw it before I saw T2. So, but it wasn't like, I was so little that it wasn't like this is the coolest movie ever. It probably wasn't until T2 that I really went back and paid attention to the first movie.
Yeah, for me, the first.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Over Easy's comment here in just a minute. The first time I ever saw Terminator actually was on late night TV back in the day when they would run like classic movies like at 11:30 or 11 or 12 o'clock on like the network TV and everything. And they would have late night movies on Saturday night. And this is one that my mom and grandma would let me watch. And I never realized how much profanity there was in this movie until I saw it on video. I'm like, dang, there's cursing, there's nudity, there's more violence in the thing that's actually than what you see on the TV edit. And I'm like, whoa. Not to go Keanu Reeves there. But yeah,
too late, buddy.
I have loved this movie for years. I have watched it ad nauseum. I have it on Blu-ray. I have T2 on Blu-ray 4K. And I'm like, believe it or not, my mother was like, what do you want for Christmas this year? And I'm like, I don't know. And then we were at the store and I was like, they've got Terminator 2 Judgment Day on Blu-ray 4K. She's like, is that any good? Because my mom's not real tech savvy. I'm like, yeah, that's really good. She's like, do you have the machine to play it on? I was like, yeah, we do. She's like, okay. Here, Merry Christmas.
Over Easy made a comment. Do you care if I answer that real quick? That
are you
comment,
talking
Over
about?
Easy? Yeah.
No, go for it, Loki.
Okay, here's the deal, dude. The second Skynet sent back the Terminator, it knew it had failed. So depending on how much time it had between when Kyle and John infiltrate the time vault or whatever the heck Skynet called it, Skynet knew it had failed. The second it sent back the Terminator, it knew it had failed. So whatever it had up next, it was going to send another one. The problem is with that first movie, Skynet doesn't understand that is what is called a predestination paradox.
Mhm.
Okay. That was destined to happen. John's there. John is fighting the machines. It sends back the Terminator to kill John, but because it sends back the Terminator, they send back Kyle. So it was destined to happen. It had to happen for Kyle to be born and fight the
Right.
machines. They had to, or for John to be born and fight the machines, they had to send back Kyle. So that was always something that was destined to happen. John could not exist without them sending back Kyle.
Like I said, a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Predestination paradox. It's a paradox in time where it had to happen. It was always destined to happen because John couldn't have been born without it.
And that's why
I would agree.
And that's why every sequel has failed. Because the only way to really tell this story, if you're going to have a sequel story to After 2, you have to have it as a closed circle. You can't tell it any other way of them trying to prevent it because it has to happen. Otherwise, John will literally disappear from existence.
Yeah, pretty much.
Should have happened, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump to the end here, and I'm going to go on that in that end of it. Should look. I love the end of T2, the highway scene. I love the highway, but if they had gone with the original thing,
it ended.
It would have been done, over with, and we wouldn't have gotten what I would consider. Well, you know what? I want to keep it clean on your channel, but we wouldn't have got this crap.
And honestly, Jesse, I agree with you because if you're a fan of the Terminator movies, you realize, I think most everybody realizes, after 3, the franchise kind of collapses. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I liked Salvation. There was good stuff in it, and everything. But if you want a good, satisfying, I'm gonna just go out here, and I know this is something other people have said. This film franchise didn't need to be a franchise. It could have been 2 movies, and I would have been happy as a clam. I really would have. I would have been perfectly happy if they had just done the first 2 and that's it. And I wouldn't have had a problem. Now, am I completely dissatisfied with the sequels that have been done up until Dark Fate or maybe even Genesis? No, because like I just mentioned, there were good parts to Rise of the Machines, and there were good parts to Salvation. But some things just kind of lagged with the preceding sequels. It felt like they were just trying to retcon their own story, and the first 2 tell a perfectly satisfying time travel story. It doesn't need a whole lot more to it and everything. And I would have been happy if they had done the alternate ending, anything where it's the alternate future where John's a senator and Linda and Sarah is an old lady and everything, and she's a grandmother. I would have been cool with that. I would have. And R actually brings up a good point. And to the chat, Adega Outlaw, good evening, sir. Glad you could tune in. Hope you're doing well, sir. RR says it should have ended with T2. The 2 films told a complete story arc. All the others were just sucking every last cent of a popular character, the T-800. I cannot say I necessarily disagree with that.
Okay,
I mean,
go
ahead, Jeff.
Ambassador. I've got to go with that. Now, I was kind of talking about. I was thinking about something similar when I was thinking about when you brought up you were going to do this. Who was it? You and Loki and somebody else who were doing the first 2 Alien movies?
Yep.
We just did Aliens. We didn't do the first one.
That's right. But
actually, Jess, I think you were the 3rd one on that stream.
Yeah.
You and I and Loki have worked together a lot over the last few weeks.
Time to cut back, brother. Time to cut back.
A little later on that one.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, Orange. That was you. That's right. Yeah, it was. Orange. It wasn't.
Yeah, don't. No, guys, I wasn't there. No, I was there.
Yeah, it was orange.
I wasn't.
Yeah, orange. It was
came in later, and it was you and Luke. But there was something I was bringing up, and it was the same thing I saw in T1, T2 when I mentioned, Empire, T2, and Aliens. Is Ripley and Connor had a similar thing. They had a complete story arc.
Yes.
Over 2 movies, and now think about the dynamic difference here. Let's take Alien, 24 hours. Terminator, about 24, 36 hours. Ripley goes into an 80-something year hibernate.
57. It's 57 years.
Oh, 57? Okay.
Yeah. It's in the extended cut of Aliens. But yeah.
But you get where I'm going there. She goes into that. And then
hypersleep. Yeah. Cryogenic sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you have let's take what happened with Lynn Hamilton's character.
Sarah.
She goes from a very, a waitress. I mean, she was a waitress to a badass who was ready to just straight up murder someone to protect the world. And the way they explain it to you, you got to realize you're thinking, she's had a lot of time to realize this. But, the end of the movie and then the end of everything. And then, like I said, I don't mind the highway scene. But if you had done the other scene, it would have been an end and we'd have been done and we wouldn't be going through this,
Yeah, but
just do the war. That's all they had to do.
Amen.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And
touching on that.
That's all they had to do. Then they would have been done. Okay, you give the war against the machines, and you have Kyle and John fighting the machines. I liked Salvation, but it wasn't what I expected. But still, you have it to where they get Kyle to the time machine and they send Kyle into the past, and bam, you have truly done a full circle and seen it all. Because the most visually striking things in both of these films is when they're in the future and you see them battling the exoskeleton Terminators and the war is on.
And
I agree. That's what I was just going to say.
That would have been a trilogy right there. If they had just gone there.
Yeah. Speaker, you said something. What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying that's Loki beat me to the punch. I was going to say the exact same thing. Is that at the end of T2, they should have showed kind of how the war started, and then gone from there. And then because my favorite parts of T1 is those scenes where Kyle's in the tunnel and the machine, and the dogs start barking. And you see the Terminator come in and just start wasting everybody, and the sounds the machines make, they're like creepy, haunting, and it's like you just get that. I mean, just I don't know. And see, that's what I always wanted. Loki was for them to really go into depth and show you the war and how that ended.
Right, great minds, brother.
Yeah,
I love that Salvation was going to do,
and it kind of did. Orange, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah. One of the things is, you guys are right. They need to do a closed circle. But the way I see it, it wouldn't work with a trilogy. In my opinion, you would need 2 movies. And I actually covered this on my channel a while back after Dark Fate came out. I actually did a video how I would do or how I would continue from Terminator 2 and whatnot. Basically, you need 2 movies. One to actually push that Judgment Day will still happen. It can act, and here's the thing. The way that the timeline functions, you can change minor things, but you have to have the major things. Kyle goes back. Kyle lives up to that point where he can go back. Connor needs to be born and all that stuff. But the thing is, you can actually delay, and this is something that I've actually talked in depth with actual college people about. You can delay Judgment Day to the year 2000 at the latest. And you can still have the same result from 2029 where Kyle is sent back. And also, you got to remember, because of T2, it wasn't just Kyle that went back, and it wasn't just the T800 that went back. So basically, if I would have made a movie, the ending of the movie would have been when they get to the time displacement, it would have been, it's been used twice.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the T800 went back, but we don't know exactly when the T1000 was sent back.
Yeah, that's true.
So it makes sense that it would have went back before they seized the time displacement equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was where I was always gonna go to. You know, you can only do that MacGuffin so long. Okay, a T800, a T1000. Okay, you can get away with that twice. You can't get away with that. You can't keep using that same scenario every time. You can't tell me that Skynet, after it lost, sent 5, 6, 7, because they were far more powerful each time. And then I'm sorry, I'm only going to suspend my disbelief so far.
Well, but here's the thing: if what Kyle says to Sarah is true in the first one, and what he says when they're interrogating the police are interrogating him is true, they had destroyed the complex, they had defeated Skynet.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: how does T2 happen? Because if the Resistance had destroyed Skynet, unless there was a backup facility that had another time displacement field or time displacement unit, then there's no way that the T1000 or the T800 or Model
Just
101
could have
been.
You're getting into that Dark Fate crap, because supposedly that's what happens in Dark Fate. Skynet's little kid comes online, Legion, and is like, okay, we're back up, everybody. And so it's just I mean, it's simple to say, if in that second that Skynet knew, okay, my T800 didn't succeed, send back the more advanced one to kill him later when he's a kid. Okay, that kind of makes sense. You know,
because you also got to remember,
I can see that.
Maybe some of that information got back now, but you can't go from a T800 to a T1000 to a TX model to a
whatever the heck that was.
You can only say you got so much information back before you got your ass kicked.
Yeah.
It's like computer companies. They've got 10 models behind the one they just released. Skynet was just going through its consumer product division.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. The way that I see it happening was Skynet was hedging its bets. Basically, it knew there was a chance for failure with the T800 going back to the 80s. And so it basically decided to take its most advanced prototype, like the T800 in or like Uncle Bob says in T2, it's an advanced prototype. He then activates that and sends it back. So when they, Orville Nation, how you doing, buddy? So when they, but now Kyle Reese says they blew the whole place and whatnot. Here's the thing. That's one mistake that I see it as a mistake. Now hear me out. How does he know that they were going to blow the place? Now, that was probably, he heard that was the plan, sure. But before they blew the place, they would have had to have reprogrammed Uncle Bob in order to go back. So, because they would have had to have learned by reading the trajectory and the coordinates and all that 2 Terminators were sent back. That's the only way that they would have realized there's 2 Terminators in the past. One was sent back to the 80s, to 84, and one was sent back to 1995 because John Connor was 10 years old in T2.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Even
sounds about
though
right.
Eddie Furlong was actually 12 going on 13.
Let's
because
not
his voice
go
was breaking
there.
in that movie.
Yeah.
That's one of that low-hanging fruits we don't want to go into.
Yeah. Classic. Any thoughts on what we discussed? You've been a little quiet.
Well, I was going to say, the original screenplay actually had both the T-800 and the T-2 in it. They were both going to be
Oh, the
in the
T-1000.
movie, but the technology wasn't there to do the T-1000 yet, which is why they wound up saving that for the second movie. So I think it really makes most sense to say, like Orange Hat was saying, they basically sent them back at the same time, with T-1000 being basically a backup.
But essentially, what they did, what they showed in those two movies is they just jumped timelines, in essence. Because if both machines have been sent back at the same time, but we're just getting different points in the timeline, the Terminator timeline, where those two machines, the first Terminator and the T-1000, are sent back. Essentially, we're just seeing Skynet do its thing and the Resistance do their thing, but it's just later on and everything when we actually come into that timeline with Terminator 2.
Now let's think about something here, though, Ambassador. When T1 and T2, remember, neither Terminator knew really anything fully about John Connor. Remember, the T-800 never had his full name of the mother or anything. So
it had a name, and that's why it went through the phone book and killed every single Sarah Connor except for the Sarah Connor.
It had all the information on John. It had all the information on John.
Name. That's why I said full name. Yeah, knew it was Sarah Connor, but didn't know, the full name. That's why it was going through the phone book. That's why I remember that.
Acting systematically.
So let's go with this advanced prototype here that maybe they sent a little bit later, but still, that prototype didn't know necessarily, any more information than the T-800. Now, how did they get, the other T-800 up there to protect him? Yeah, I mean, that's one of those ones. I mean, let's be honest. We could argue that
unless the Resistance was able to develop time displacement equipment of their own, that's the only thing I can guess.
No, the way that they sent the T-800 back, they actually, if you watch the special edition, or because I had the special edition on DVD and I watched it a bunch of times, they actually showed the storyboards of Connor finding another T-800 because they found an assembly line, essentially.
Yeah.
And they reprogrammed the T-800 and sent it back because they had figured out that the T-1000 went through. My question, though, is how I have escaped. How does the T-1000 go? Is it like in this just sack of living tissue, or did they actually make a body-shaped living tissue mold?
They could have. That's something that
they were always kind of vague about that, about how that worked with the T-1000, as far as it being partly organic.
Which is something that they actually covered in the special edition.
Yeah.
Because they actually had the ones with the words.
Well, I'm glad they kept a lot of it vague. Otherwise, the more details you get, the more criticism we're going to get. At least when you leave it a little vague, you give some interpretation and a little less criticism.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about T1 is
Nike.
No, I was going to say Pugsley the iguana. Pugsley the iguana was the cutest thing ever. But yeah, I love the fact that you see Kyle's survival skills, because he has, as he tells Sarah, he grew up starving in the ruins of wherever he was living at. Now, if you want to follow Salvation's storyline, he was in Los Angeles or whatever, I think it was. But Kyle is a very relatable character. He's very broken. He's tough, but at the same time he's vulnerable. And towards the end, you see all that coaching that Kyle is trying to give Sarah finally kick into her, and she turns into the BA mama bear, and tries to save Kyle after he gets shot by the first Terminator. And Cameron, I honestly think he did a great job at making all these characters relatable. Of course, you can't really relate to a killer cyborg from the future, but with Sarah and Kyle, and even her roommate and her boyfriend. And fun fact, the boyfriend actually was in Top Gun.
Yeah, Rick Rossovich.
Rick Rossovich. He was in. He was in
Roxanne also.
Was he? I guess.
All right, now that you brought that up, hey, is anybody really looking forward to seeing the new Top Gun movie? Just
me.
Yes,
I am totally.
Yes.
Thank you.
Here's my money.
Thank you.
Here's my money.
Take my money. Yes.
Take my money. Here it is. Yes, I'm and I'm okay with waiting a year or whatever, how long they decide to delay it. I will wait. Oh, yeah. Thank you, over easy mode. Appreciate that. Yeah, he played his call sign was Slagger. Yeah, and he was Iceman's co-pilot.
Wingman.
Co-pilot. Yeah, co-pilot.
Yeah, co-pilot.
Rio.
So, but yeah, the other.
Not really. Come on, Brian. You don't want to see Top Gun 2?
Hey, that's his opinion. He's entitled to it.
You know what? You know what? My wife hasn't seen Top Gun yet, and she has no interest, even though I've shown her the trailer.
The volleyball scene? All the girls like the volleyball scene.
Some of the guys like the volleyball scene too.
Well, you got to understand, my wife is military too. She's about to retire, just like I retired from the military.
Okay, that I can understand.
I'm not impressed.
That I can understand.
Oh no, I was saying it was a joke about saying she's not impressed with the military on TV.
I can understand that, being someone who's in the military or is in the military. Kathia, I'm almost afraid to see you go Sarah Connor. That would be frightening.
No, I think she would kick her.
Can you see her in the crazy house scene where she's flipped her bed over doing push-ups? That's
she wasn't doing push-ups. She was doing
chin-ups.
No, it's okay. Whatever way you want to call it. But yeah, the amazing thing about all these movies, these action movies from the 80s and 90s, the characters are so darn relatable, and I really appreciate that fact. So,
I know it's kind of silly, but I really wanted, like I was saying before, where they go forward and go through the war and stuff. I wanted to see what it would have been like for John to grow up knowing his own dad, not being able to tell his dad he knew who he was, and send him on the mission he knew would get him killed. I was just like, just that interpersonal relationship. I always wanted to see them do that.
And I always thought that's how the last movie should have been. If you were going to make it a T3, that's how it should have ended. It should have ended with that circle, with him knowing what he was sending his dad to do. That would have been a killer. And don't get me wrong, the guy who played Kyle Reese in Salvation, poor guy. I know he passed away too soon. He was
Anton Yeltsin, I think is his name.
Yeah, Anton Yeltsin. He was a very good character and very good. Sorry, not character. Sorry, he was a very good actor, and I really enjoyed him. And he played actually a character of an obscure book series I enjoyed.
Okay, whose alarm's going off?
That's mine. I'm gonna mute myself so I can turn it off. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
One of the things I just found out, because I just looked up on my phone, what year does it take place? Now, everybody knows in T2, he says 35 years from now, you reprogram me here to be your protector here in this time.
Yeah.
That would mean that it takes place in 1994. Connor was, or they said that it was a decade later, which makes sense, 1994. But Connor was born in 85, and they're saying he was a 10-year-old boy. So it would have to take place in 1995, which would only make it 34 years. So that is a kind of really big conundrum that they actually have in behind the scenes, because it's like, if it's 35, it's in 94, but if he's 10, it's 95. So what is the actual timeline? And that just that's one mistake that actually would bother me.
I'm going to go with Orange Hat here. I agree. That has been the one biggest, simplest error they could have not gotten themselves in the box of. But they put themselves there. I mean, the boy, they could have easily have gotten the timeline right and just said, push it 10, 12, 30. What was he? What was he supposed to be? 6, 7 years old? He's on a BMX,
he's basically 10, 11 years old, and he's on a BMX. It's like, or he's on a freaking dirt bike, and I'm like,
but
hey guys, real quick. Loki's having some audio problems, so he's gonna reboot and come back in. See if that can't fix it. So
cool. Awesome.
So we'll carry on without him. He'll be back in. I know him. So, but go ahead, guys.
Well, what I mean is, I'm just saying, I agree with Orange Hat there. That is always been the one. If it's the one continuity error that just should have had an easy fix and not been blatantly done, was just the age difference between T1 and T2. They could have just simply had pushed a little forward. So I get where he's going there, but still, I'm never going to see Dark Fate, as I'm not going to watch John Connor get killed. Period. In discussion.
Yeah. Believe me, I can completely understand that.
I watched hardcore fans walk out of theaters after that happened.
I'm surprised they didn't demand their money back. I know I would have.
They did, but the theater has a strict no refund policy once you pay for a ticket.
Wait a minute. How did no one know that was going to happen? As soon as the trailer showed Linda Hamilton trying to blow the brains off of that T-800, I already knew what was going on, and every other person on YouTube was saying the same damn thing. So you couldn't tell me you didn't catch. You couldn't, Well, I'm not saying I shouldn't say that. Maybe people didn't catch it, but it was like at that moment, I was like, as soon as I knew that was gonna, I was like, nope, I'm not gonna watch it, because if I do, I'm gonna freaking lose it worse than I did when I walked out of a Thin Red Line.
Thing is, Mr. H reviews, he has some pretty damn accurate sources. This guy called the death of John Connor months before the movie came out. He was saying like 6 months, there's been a leak that John Connor dies in the beginning of the movie, yet they have Eddie Furlong going in. So, but chances are they're only using him to do digital scans of his face so they could de-age him. And I'm like, that makes sense. You got to have the source material to have the de-aging.
Well, given that John Connor was conspicuously absent from all of the advanced, trailers and the photos from the movie and stuff like that, and just the general trends in Hollywood right now, it wasn't that hard to figure out. Okay, they're probably going to be getting rid of John Connor and replacing him with a female. I mean, that's just. I mean,
I could go all over telling you guys basically how they completely cucked Connor, but we're discussing T1 and T2.
Yeah, so let's try.
That's a video for another time.
But the ambassador forgot to get us back on track.
No, I was going to get you back on track. So
he was just feeding us rope.
But like I said, I think it was nobody that brought up a good point in the about sending Kyle, or wanting to see the dynamic of Kyle growing, or John Connor watching Kyle grow up to become the man that he sends back in time. I actually cover that in in that video of how I would do the whole thing. He knows that he's going to send him back. He actually has to protect him, train him, and all that stuff. And that's why I say it takes place between two movies. I mean, Judgment Day in my sequels, it happens in 2000, but there is another T-800 that was sent back to 1998, but it was not sent back to protect John Connor and Sarah. It was actually sent back to prepare for the inevitability of Judgment Day. I mean, this, it's a better discussion for another time.
Yeah. Loki, can you say anything now? Are you working? I guess not. Dang it.
Dang.
This is...
Turn your vocabulator on, you crazy Terminator.
let me let me try something on my end. Well, he already left. Never mind. Okay. Well, shoot.
We got fudge knocked.
We'll be fine.
They lost a real good opportunity having basically showing in the future John Connor meeting Kyle and basically being a father figure to his own father. In effect, kind of raising his own father, which would be interesting.
Well, let's look
Salvation was such a missed opportunity.
Well, let's look at also this too. Let's think about what happened with Sarah Connor here. Sarah Connor is, I mean, completely innocent in this. She has no idea what the hell's going, everything, and this is why I said the self-fulfilling prophecy. Everybody, it was they Kyle was sent back to protect her. Kyle loved her because he admired her as being, as far as he talks about John as his friend, but you got to understand, he met, for all intents and purposes, his hero. I mean, you may think John was his hero, but no. Sarah was Kyle Reese's hero. When he said, he's talking to me because I've loved you, you could take that as sexual or intimate or whatever. I considered it hero worshiping. As far as
I would agree with that.
He was concerned, as far as but I mean, let's look at this way. As far as Kyle was concerned, this woman was more important than John Connor, and John was his, father, yada yada, yeah. He figures it out later, blah blah blah. Maybe but the point of the matter is, as far as he knows at the time, all he knows is this guy John, who's his mentor, is telling him all about his mother, who taught him to be who he is. So, I mean, it was the hero's hero. He's like, wait a minute, my hero is John Connor, and this is he's telling me his mom did all these things to make him to get to this point and taught him in advance. I mean, to prepare everyone. And it's like, I mean, shoot, how much more hero worshiping can you get than that?
Yeah.
Well,
I would.
The way I see it, now I agree to an extent. The way I see it is, you got to listen to how he describes it. Or it's like, I volunteered. Why? Chance to meet the legend, Sarah Connor. How she raised John to become who he was. But then he gets deeper. I think because, remember, he had that photo for a few years before he was sent back. He never understood why John gave it to him. But the thing is, I think it developed from hero worship into actual infatuation and love.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And that's when he was kind of upset when he admitted it to Sarah.
I would go with what you're saying too. Yeah, sure.
Because remember what he did as soon as he says, I loved you, Sarah, I always have. Then he gets up and starts packing his stuff because he's like, I shouldn't have said that. It's like, yeah, but you did. And now she kind of pity. It's like, it does kind of seem like it goes to a pity scene there.
Loki, are you with us, sir?
Somebody playing with pipes.
Could he use his phone to get in?
Yeah, I'm not sure, speaker, honestly. So, well, we'll carry on. If he can chime in, he'll let me know. So, the other kind of getting back on track. One of the things that I found interesting about this first Terminator, honestly, you've got to be astounded by the effects, considering this was actually a low budget movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was.
And we lost a legend when we lost Stan Winston, because that man created some of the most iconic, incredible movie characters in cinema history, and that is the truth.
Hey, that skeleton T-800. I don't care if it's stop motion. Actually, if it's not stop motion, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see no CGI of that thing. It's got to be pure stop motion gold.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I mean the T-800. Am I off my rocker, anybody?
Well,
no.
They used stop motion and puppeteering.
Okay, now, I will never deny puppeteering.
I will say this: I did, or the T-800 that they used or that they did for, I think what one was it? Salvation, I think. I actually did not think that was a bad job that they did with the CGI T-800. Now, the T-800 that they did with in Genesis, it's no longer restricted by an actor's mold, meaning the person or the look of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But when you turn it into a full CGI character, you'd still want to be able to show that it does actions like Arnold Schwarzenegger instead of the stuff that it did in Genesis. But the one that it did in Salvation was still more to the mold of a bodybuilder. Its actions were still basic, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, if they would have been able to do that was actually pretty dang well done. It's just that they had very limited technology, like we said. But overall, the movie still works because when you put practical effects like the puppeteering and whatnot, that you have something to work with. Now, sure, motion capture that later becomes a digital render, you still have something to work with, but it just still doesn't have that sense of reality.
Yeah. And to the chat, Beans Loki had to bow out because of audio problems. If anybody wants to come in, especially if you're on the Ambassadorial Wing chat room, if you want to come in, go ahead and use that link. If anybody who isn't in there wants to come on and you want to participate in anything, just shoot me a DM on Twitter and everything. I think most everybody knows my Twitter handle. Ambassador Kosh 7, shoot me a DM, and if you want to come on, join the chat or join the panel, you're welcome. Anything, and we'll hopefully Loki will be able to figure out what's going on his end. So
our statement that you just highlighted, that was one of the grossest yet still one of the cool scenes as a kid, but it still kind of creeps you out when you see him working on his arm
Yeah, totally.
You know, I think that's one of the strengths of the movies from the 80s.
When I learned about this when I got older, when Linda Hamilton got her twin sister to do that scene where they were doing the mirror, like they were supposed to mirror each other, taking out the chip of the T-800.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they spent all that time doing, and it got cut out of the theatrical scene, and we didn't see it until years later.
Special edition.
Yeah. And then when I saw that, I was like, it was one of the, okay, I'm going to say this right now. It was when I went through my Fox syndrome, where I was like, fuck you, Fox, for screwing up something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I blame Fox for pretty much everything in my life.
Going back to that though, there is one other scene that she came in as a, or that her twin sister came in, and that was the last scene before the when
in
she comes
T2
up behind her.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. They used her. They availed herself of the fact that Linda Hamilton had a twin sister, and they did it well. So, but okay. Changing subject to a little something within the movie from the first Terminator. Favorite quotes, and we'll just go around the horn. Orange will go with you, and then we'll just work our way around.
Go over to the next one because I'm gonna have to rack my brain on that.
Okay, speaker.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, I went blank. I want to say the quote that Kyle says that he was forced to memorize, but I can't remember it verbatim. Isn't that? I mean, so
yeah. Well, you don't have to quote it.
I can't remember it.
You don't have to specifically quote the quote. You can just say that's the favorite quote.
Yeah. No fate, but what we make.
The future isn't set.
Yeah, the future isn't set. It's that
there is no
quote.
fate, but what we make.
Thank you, Sarah, for all your courage during the dark years. I can't help you in what you are about to face, but all I can tell you is that the future is not set. There is no fate, but what we make for ourselves.
Yeah.
Show off.
All right, I'm gonna go completely cheap. Come with me if you want to live. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm gonna take it.
My favorite lines, I mean, besides the iconic lines, was Lance Henriksen's characters.
There was
all the different stories, all the different perverted shit he was saying. It's like, this guy is so good. He could. Oh my! We can't talk about it on here. We really can't because jeez.
What can't we talk about? Orange?
Or what Lance Henriksen was talking about talking about one of Silverman's previous people. I think he said he brought in a Muslim guy and got him to take off his thing.
No, there was this guy. Yeah. Hey, Orjack, you and we could talk offline about Lance Hendrickson for hours. I love that.
Oh guy. Yeah, we're good.
Well, Hendrickson helped get the movie made because he was friends with Cameron before the film was made, and when Cameron pitched the movie to the studio, he had Henriksen show up dressed as the Terminator to help kind of give an idea of what it would be like.
That's right.
And I think honestly, over easy mode wins the golden snitch. He will never find her. He will never stop. He feels no pain, no pity, and absolutely will not stop until he rips her heart out.
Yeah. Yeah, basically when he freaked out or when he flipped out on the camera. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cyber
and Sarah looks at Trasker and the lieutenant goes, "Is he crazy?" And Silverman goes, "Certifiable."
No.
Like, he's a loon.
He's a loon.
Yeah, he's a loon.
He's a loon.
Couldn't make that joke out.
Also,
those two movies, like when you and Loki were talking about with aliens, you have a really strong female character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
but she doesn't start off that way.
And they have a complete, literally a complete story arc, a complete and beautiful story arc.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it's always been so strange for me when my wife likes T3 the most, and I'm like, Linda Hamilton's not even in this movie. I'm like, hey, what? I wanted to see Dark
Okay.
Fate only because of Linda Hamilton, and that I found out everything about it because, well, I'm an IT guy and I know how to do certain things, so I admit to nothing.
The Dark Fate movie, like I said, there is a little bit of entertainment value, but it doesn't carry that movie, so it doesn't mark as a passable movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would have to say my favorite quote from the first one, "You're terminated, effer."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the
You're
moment.
terminated.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're terminated, sucker.
No,
I just found out, or I just.
No, Ambassador. I was actually thinking about that when we were discussing doing this episode, and you put up there, and I was like, it's like thinking, everybody's, getting whatever the woke stuff ever, and I was like, there were so many strong female, and we were talking about, I was like, there were so many moments. Not even just that moment, but if you really go back now and look at it, I mean, Sarah Connor was a very strong woman even before Kyle. She just didn't know her potential. It was after Kyle that she learned her potential and went out and sought it. And that's why you learn why she's so tough afterwards. And it's like, her, John says, mom would hook up with these people, teach me stuff and then leave. And it's like,
or they would leave.
Whoever, it didn't matter. As far as she was concerned, it didn't matter what happened to her. All she cared about was happening to him. And that was the beauty of Terminator 2. All she cared about after she got saved, after they went in, all she did was she was touching him, trying to figure out what, and she goes, "Why were you so stupid to come after me? You're too important." And it was like, at that moment, it's like, she's actually pissed at him. She's mad at him for doing something so irresponsible because in her mind, okay, I mean, he's the savior of humanity. So he should think big picture and not think of her. So even though, she probably was partially prideful about the fact that he tried to save her, the fact that he did meant she was now a weakness. And why do you think she left and did what she did?
Yeah. But I mean, let me touch on that. He's absolutely right in that. She kind of saw his attempt at rescuing her as a weakness, but it wasn't her weakness. It was actually John's weakness because because he needed her. But what she wasn't realizing, and they actually go into it more in the special edition of T2.
Yeah, they do.
She does not realize he is a kid, a 10-year-old child. But later on, she does have those dialogues where she's narrating of all the would-be fathers who had come and gone. This machine is the only one that measures up.
Right.
But she does for
parts of the movie.
Yeah, and she does care for John. She loves him, but she's losing her humanity as she goes on. One of the day in the special edition, in the words underneath, as the Terminator becomes more human, Sarah becomes less human. And that's why she goes
and she
and tries to take
hunt
out
down and murder Tyson.
Yeah.
And she, in effect, becomes a Terminator herself.
Yeah,
exactly.
And actually, I remember listening to the commentary by Cameron for T2, and he does bring up that point that Sarah has now swapped roles with the Terminator, and he's become the protector, and she's turned into the cold-blooded killer.
And like it was
Yep.
scare.
Yeah. Real quick thing, the missus just told me Amazon Prime currently has T2 on digital. I think it's for $4.99. Let me double check. So if anybody doesn't have T2
they put it on.
and you want to get it digitally, it's on sale on Amazon Prime right now. But let me double check 1 second.
Because I know that, or I have the special edition on Amazon Prime, and I also have T1.
Yeah.
And
You know,
Yeah,
you know something we haven't talked about. Let's just kind of go back to the beginning. I mean, we're talking the 80s here, and
Yeah.
this movie had that sound. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. I mean, look,
Mhm.
I know I'm butchering it to say the least because I couldn't. Hey, look,
Well,
we're trying to get
the
up on
interesting
It has that percussion.
just
Dun-dun-dun.
yeah, it was so terrifying
Mhm.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
And you're
Well,
like, holy
the thing-
crap, what am I into? And the music alone, I mean, when you have that kind, I mean, that's the thing.
Mhm.
You know what makes a movie is the score. I mean,
Mhm.
when you're a
That can
vision,
make or break.
your first impression of a movie like Terminator is, it's not even the red color, the name Terminator. It's the score.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. He was talking about scaring the crap out of a kid.
Yeah. Well, and the amazing thing about the composer for the score, he wasn't your traditional composer. He did more techno electronic music more so than anything else. And when Cameron had a very specific idea for the music for the movie, and he tried to find somebody that could fit that role, and he found the guy. I don't remember the name of the guy who did the music, but yeah, that is one of the most iconic. If you really think about it, that is one of the most iconic scores for an action series because they reused it in T2, and it still is intimidating. It is still iconic. It is truly one of those really iconic scores, and it's for a freaking action movie, a low budget action movie. And this sounds like something that was done by maybe not a multi-piece, but by a very high budget studio. And it wasn't. It was done by one guy, I think, in his garage or his basement or something. And he absolutely, positively owned with that score. And it was like
It's
it was
dark
like
but hopeful.
Jaws level.
Yeah, it's dark. Yeah, Speaker, you nailed it.
I call it a techno score, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is like a symphonic freight train just coming down the tracks, barreling right into you. And it's coming right through your ears. But if you've got really good stereo equipment and everything hooked up to your TV, you can feel it in your body if you've got the bass turned up, because that sucker has got a lot of bass on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the score on this movie was just incredible. And
it was psychological as well.
It is, yeah. It's very primal. I think would be a good identifier if y'all's thoughts on that. It's very primal. It feeds into that primal.
I'm gonna say this. It's funny. I would say it was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best roles, and of course his least amount of lines. But the guy was able to just embody a presence that got him through just a few words in a movie and made him a freaking. And remind you, I think this movie came out after Conan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, this movie came out after Conan. So And Conan
Yeah.
didn't do the greatest, and this is the movie, and most people remember him for.
Yeah, this is the one. He had done a few films. He had done Conan the Barbarian. I think he had done the Hercules movie and everything.
I don't ever want to be heard about that movie.
Yeah, they had him dubbed for that, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right, Orange. I think they did.
It was like when I watched the Star Wars holiday special. Yeah, I did that. Sorry, I had to be that guy.
It's okay. It's okay, Jess. No worries. Absolutely not.
Because, like I said before, the Conan theme in this one.
Yes.
I mean, they and if you go say, I've got the Conan soundtrack because that whole soundtrack is fantastic, and it's just. I mean, it's like you say, if you don't have the wrong score and bad music, could ruin the worst film, or it can take a mediocre film and vault it into something that it never would have been otherwise. I mean, it's just the music really is one of the most important things in a film.
Hey, can I say something here? This is totally off subject, but I just want to say this, bringing up Conan, the Barbarian, the way he swung that sword and everything. I'm just going to say there was some cinematography on Netflix's The Witcher that was just, they didn't cut, they just did kind of a straight through like sword fight, and it was just so beautiful. It was almost like Conan. So sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right, Jess.
No, and that's how sword fights should be filmed.
Like, it was beautiful to watch.
See, but we were talking earlier about the fact that this was a low budget film and stuff, but you know what? There was a lot of those in the 80s that I think that was their strength, was the fact that they could not lean on the special effects. The story had to be good. The actors had to be good. It's like, and we don't get that now. We get multi-million-dollar films that like, so the actors suck. We get Captain Marvel. We get a heavy effects film with terrible actors and and a storyline that doesn't work. And it's just like, God, give me some low budget films again. I'll take them.
I disagree. I think we're getting away from that now. I think we're done with the Captain Marvels and that kind of stuff. And we're
I don't think we're done with them because they're going to keep pushing them.
Another discussion for another stream.
Yeah,
for sure.
Joker. That's all I'm saying.
And I just watched that I think it was Thursday.
Talk to me offline. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I am actually thinking about maybe doing a video or doing a stream on the three that I watched and everything, because I watched Joker and I watched Shazam and I watched Aquaman, and I'm like, wow, just wow.
I'll get in on that Aquaman one.
Well, I may do all. Like I said, Orange, I might do all three for a stream. So,
all right,
but that might be a long one. Well, I think
which was your favorite?
I'll say this, and then we're going to segue to Terminator 2.
Yeah,
my favorite. This might be a bit of a shock, although I love all three of them. The one that resonated with me the most was Shazam.
Yeah.
I love Joker. Joker was a masterpiece. I am not disputing that whatsoever. But the one that resonated with me,
I think I know why you resonate with Shazam.
So, but that, like I said, that's another discussion for another time. But Terminator 2. This was one of the greatest 90s action, if not one of the greatest action films of all time. And Orange is cleaning his comb.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen his hair?
Are we boring you, sir?
No, I was just waiting until we got into it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting into T2 now.
Good. Calms down now.
So,
it's actually on my dog's comb.
Oh, Orange, you kill me, man. You do. You kill me. This, like I mentioned before, this was one of the first R-rated action movies I got to see in theaters, and I didn't even know it was R-rated per se. We just saw we saw the trailer, and I looked at they had it on TV, and I looked at my mom, and she looked at me, and we're like, "We're going to see that." She's like, "Oh yeah," because she loved, and still loves to this day the Terminator movies. And
He was a mama's boy, which is okay because I was a grandma's boy.
I was not a mother's boy. I just happened to love my mother, and she happened to love action movies, and so
I love you, man. You know that.
I know, Jess. I know. Yeah, when we saw this, well, we'll just we'll kind of do first time. Well, I'm guessing everybody here was able to see T2 in theaters. Is this inaccurate or inaccurate? No.
Yeah, I did.
Saw it in my dad's living room. He rented it from Kilroy's.
Okay.
Speaker, what about repeat myself on where I saw this movie the first time?
Speaker, what about you?
It's kind of a weird story. I put this in one of my videos about the Terminator series, but I was at a wedding reception that I didn't want to be at, and my sister's boyfriend at the time is like, "Hey, do you want to get out of here?" And I'm like, "Yes." Yeah. And he took me and went to this rated R movie, which my mom found out later and was totally pissed off at him about it. But I'm just like, and at that point, I can't remember what year that came out, but I was pretty young still, and I had not seen the first one, or I'd seen the first one, but only parts of it. And I came home like my eyes were probably as big as saucers, and I was telling everybody, which is what got him in trouble with my mom. So I mean, it was such a good movie. I was just blown away. I'm like, I don't even care that I don't know what happened in the first one. This one is awesome, you know. And that was a good thing about it, was you didn't absolutely have to have seen the first one to get the second. Very true. One, you know?
Yeah, that is true.
They both work independently to a degree.
92, 93.
Yeah,
91 was T2.
Oh, 91.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was just going into junior high.
I was 11, so
I was 6.
I was in I was still in Florida about to go to Illinois.
Was it 91?
Yeah.
Yep. Holy
yeah,
crap. I was a junior in high school. Do you think I'd remember that better? I'm old. I'm sorry. I don't remember things as well as I used to.
I doubt you're much older than me.
I wouldn't say completely netcat, because there are certain things in there that do sort of require the first movie's viewing.
I would agree with that, but even if you had not seen the first one, you watched them backwards, kind of like what I did with the Hunger Games movies. Yeah, you could keep up.
Yeah.
Okay, now please, for the love of God, if you guys ever make the mistake, don't ever watch Highlander 2 before you watch Highlander 1.
Oh no, they'll put you off Highlander forever.
I did watch Highlander 2 first, and then I tried to watch Highlander 1 and had no idea what the hell was going on. So it's better just to watch the first one first. Otherwise, you make the risk going through that.
See, but I remember thinking that who plays the T-1000?
Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
I thought he was the hero right up till the hallway scene, and I'm just like, because I hadn't seen the first one in forever, and only bits of it, and I'm sitting there going, wait, what? Is he wearing body armor? And it took me a minute before I realized and it threw me, and I loved that. I mean, I really loved it. It was just like, that's the coolest thing ever.
You know what I love about that movie is being a guy who's been in computers for the last 25 years. These special effects, I mean, the way they did them, they still hold up.
Mm-hmm.
The way they did that movie, they still hold up. I mean, I'm sorry, but the whole point was I still love the T-1000's version of Get Out better than Schwarzenegger's, because I'm like, he's just took a shit through a screen, said get out, and he just dropped out of a helicopter.
Mhm.
The other guy,
Yeah, that guy.
yeah.
You know, honestly, I walked out of T2 a little shaken, and there's one specific reason why. The nuke scene, where Sarah has the dream, and it's the full dream.
Yeah, where you're seeing her literally fry before your eyes.
Yeah, I walked out of there. I walked out of there, and I was like, my mom was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Is that what happens when a nuclear bomb explodes?" She's like, "Yeah, pretty much." I'm like, "Whoa."
Well,
Everybody, when they saw that, thought, "Oh shit, what the hell just happened?" Not realizing it was not the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a young kid, so I was like, "What the heck just happened?"
Wow.
Until I realized she was waking up and it was a nightmare, like what Kyle Reese said. And that was a great homage to what Kyle had in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even thought about it. Is the nightmare she was having about the end of the world and the nightmares he was having. Wow.
Kathia may have just caused me to have a brain aneurysm.
Dang. Kathia, that would be a fun video to do. And if you ever want a coworker with that one, I will help you. That's actually a really cool
concept.
That is a cool concept, because think about it. The machines could essentially evolve from Skynet to what we see in the Matrix.
I mean, there is. If you take away the Animatrix, there is a possibility that it could pick.
Yeah,
but the Animatrix pretty much kills that entire.
Yeah,
thing.
it does, but still, that'd be a fun theory to make.
Yeah.
Hey, we got. You could make it in a comic book. We've got Terminator versus
everything.
Yeah,
quite literally.
Thing is, Terminator is also technically part of the Aliens universe. To be 100% honest.
Yeah.
There is a comic book that connects Alien Resurrection to Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's through the Weyland-Yutani. Like they bought Cyberdyne, something like that. Wasn't that it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
There was a good miniseries back in the 90s that was a RoboCop versus Terminator.
Yeah,
story.
It was done
that
by
was
Dark
actually
Horse.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
Dark Horse bought up a lot of the 80s and 90s action properties, and they started doing crossovers. Dang. Wow. Kathia, I think you had two of the best comments of the night. So,
yeah.
Kathia, if you want to, the link's still in the chat if you want to come in and everything. It's up to you, though.
Yeah, come on in. I haven't had the pleasure yet.
Have you? Orange, you haven't? Oh,
nope.
Okay. No, the cool thing, one of the really cool things I loved about T2 was it was my first entry into like hard R, but not like hard R in terms of like sex or anything like that, action movies. It was primarily just because of violence and language. And my mom was Oh, Katie, that's a whole other conversation for another time. Well, we can discuss it. We can discuss it privately or whatever. Wow.
That's
okay.
Okay. I understand now why she came up with the theory, because she's never heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, this is the crazy thing. No, the one rule. It's the same rule I kind of have for my chats. My mom was like, I don't care if you watch a movie like this, and I'm with you, but you can never repeat what they say in the movies. I'm like, okay. When it came to the cursing, anyway. Of course, that all changed.
Just answer the freaking question.
Oh, yeah, I know what movie you're talking about there. That's Braveheart.
Yeah.
Back to Terminator 2, though.
Yeah, Orange. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off on a rabbit trail there.
Yeah.
Terminator 2. What can you possibly say? That opening, a playground on fire. A playground literally on fire.
You want to know something funny about that?
Sure, Orange.
That was filmed inside of a studio house
That doesn't surprise me.
where they black out the walls.
That does not surprise me. Dang, that must have been
You
a hot
find
set
out a
that day.
lot. You find out a lot of movie magic stuff
Mhm,
with the Terminator 2 Special Edition
mhm.
director walkthrough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I need to go
Um,
get those. I've never actually seen the special editions.
Speaker, hold on. Let me ask the missus something real quick.
Pepperoni, sausage, ham.
This movie's got one of my favorite black actors, Joe Morton.
Oh yeah,
I love him. He was in a show called Eureka. I mean, he's been in a lot of things. He's been in Smallville and other things,
Mhm.
but I love him in Eureka. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that
Oh,
show,
I
but
love
I saw
Joe
Eureka a
Morton
while
is so
back.
good, and Eureka is one of my favorite.
back when
all-time
sci-fi
shows.
was actually good.
So, yeah, when it was good.
Yeah.
no.
But Joe Morton, I loved him in this film.
Yeah,
It's the first
Joe-
time I remember
Oh, yeah.
seeing him.
Yeah, Miles Dyson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shea, you rock. Of course, the
Terminator 2
missus is
special.
team.
Oh yeah,
Oh, thanks, Shay.
I told you I have it on Amazon Prime.
ooh, I might be.
Well, aren't we just
aren't
we just fancy?
But yeah, you can get it,
Actually, my
or
mom,
you can get it on normal or special. Now, what you can't get on Amazon Prime is all of the cool little backseat and words underneath the letterbox bars.
No, because we
but
got it. We got the
What
4K.
you can get is the additional footage that they have, which is basically an extended edition.
I think the ambassador's wife was making sure they had the best copy because he was like, "Nah, it's 4K."
We have it on 4K. Yeah,
The 4K edition, I heard, has a lot of improved things. I mean, they do digital face replacement for the jump down into, or the Terminator coming down into the highway thing or the drainage area.
Yeah.
They also fixed the T1000's truck window as he
And that
breaks
was
down
a
in.
big thing with James Cameron. He even said, oh, they're not going to notice it. And then people bitched about it. And he's like,
yeah, we got to fix this.
yeah, he was. Like, I mean, that was one of those things. And when Orange Hat, when you're talking about special editions, I mean, I don't know which one, but I remember hearing about that. And I remember seeing it. And I was like, and I'm a kid. And even I caught it. And I was like, oh yeah, screwed up. And they were like telling him, no, nobody knows. And everybody knows, like, oh, we screwed up.
Speaking of that entire scene, while I was looking up the timeline of T2, they said there was a technical goof from that scene where you see T-800 cock the weapon to point the gun at, or to point the shotgun at the flaming tire that comes out. Now, when he stops with John and starts reloading, he he cocks it again to expend a used shell. It's like, when did he fire off a shot? Kind of makes you wonder. It's like, was he what? Where did he shoot it?
Well, he was shooting the gate chains at one point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
I
a quick
how
reflex shot. He's like, boom.
I love how he did that though. The spin flip. I mean, I was just like, that is the coolest way to do a pistol grip shotgun I've ever seen.
Okay, can I say something? This is going to be the craziest thing, but for like the first 20 minutes as a kid, I was actually like, is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to kill John Connor? I mean, I really didn't, he's supposed to protect him, but I was like, is he just, going to kill him later? Like, I thought there might have been, I don't know. I had watched too much Alfred Hitchcock before then at 10 years old, and I was playing conspiracy theory. I was like, is he just waiting to kill him later? Like, that's the better way to kill him.
The thing is, when I saw it at 6 years old, I actually knew for some weird reason, because believe it or not, I saw Terminator 1 after Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Terminator 2 the first time, somehow it told me that I figured out that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the good guy. And here's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't kill a single person in that bar.
Nope. Wounds, but doesn't kill. Incapacitates, but does not kill.
He throws one dude out the window. He throws one guy on the stove. Doesn't kill him, and he puts the knife through another guy's twisted shoulder. So the only way he's coming out of that is if somebody pulls that thing out, and you really don't want to do that, medically speaking.
Here's the crazy thing. Since you brought that up, Orange Hat, why did he not kill them before John told him not to do it? I mean, he was going to kill those little biker dudes without any issue.
Oh yeah, those two jocks. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Two jocks.
The reason why.
It's interesting you bring up a point there. He actually took the effort not to kill them, but the question now becomes, you bring up a good point. Well, why did he not kill them? I mean, why did he not kill them?
Well, because John told him not to.
Well, here's my reasoning for the bar scene. The Terminator, first off, is not stupid. The T8 or Skynet has information of the past. He knows about, say, police response and whatnot. So he goes back into the past. He knows that if he kills a bunch of people in a bar, chances are it's going to make his mission harder. So, yeah, that was or Bad to the Bone music was a giveaway that he was the hero. Yep, that is true. But so basically, if he was to kill everybody in that bar, he would have had to have contended with police. Yeah. Now, by injuring most of the people in the bar, the police aren't really going to buy into one guy beating up a bunch of bikers and taking another guy's clothes.
No, and by a motorcycle and the shotgun of the bar owner. Because remember, the bar owner comes out, shoots a shot up into the air and says, "I'm sorry, son, I can't let you take man's wheels, son.
Get off before I put you down."
Damn. And it's a short little pudgy
crap.
Guy himself.
So he goes up.
They wouldn't have called.
And then takes the guys.
Wouldn't have called.
Then he takes the guy's sunglasses.
Oakleys. Yeah, takes his Oakleys.
No, think about it. Those guys wouldn't have been the type to call the cops anyway.
No way.
Exactly.
Most of them.
But if you have the cops, but if you kill a bunch of them, the cops show up because there's dead bodies around.
I never thought of it that way. That's no, thank you. That is
so the T800 using logic in this instance.
There's a part in that only happens for just a split second, and it's when he's walking in and you're seeing through his eyes, and the waitress walks up and she goes, yeah, that's one of my favorite things in that scene. It just makes me laugh every single time I see that.
And here's the thing:
that is so funny. Women say we're bad about that sort of thing.
Here's the thing:
classic. Well, Orange, 1 second. Classic. Your thoughts? So you've been quiet for a few minutes or anything?
Well, I think that, like he was saying, it's one of the posters made the comment. The music when they play "Bad to the Bone," it kind of gives away that he's the good guy, basically. That he's not a villain, because if he were a villain, they wouldn't be playing that music for him. So yeah, that kind of gives away the game. But I always think of one of my favorite moments in that movie is when the Terminator, the T-1000, and the T-800 first fight in the shopping mall. And then after Arnold and the kid, they make their getaway. And then the T-1000 gets up and it's in a clothing store. And in the foreground, there's like this mannequin. with some
Yep.
clothing on it, and it's got like this kind of
Yeah.
metallic look to it, and the
Yeah.
T1000
Yeah, I
just sort
remember
of
that.
stops, and he gives it this kind of quizzical look, like, and I've always found that
A
funny.
kindred
What the heck is
spirit.
this?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
actually is, or that's called visual data gathering. What the
Mhm.
T1000 did there, it looked at it and it copied the imagery because it then employs that same look
Yeah.
when it was
Yeah, it
coming
does.
out of the fire.
Yeah,
It's
it
too
does.
bad they didn't leave that scene in after the T1000 killed the foster parents and did that whole hands touching over the
Yep.
posters and stuff.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
kill
when
him.
it's going through the home.
He was trying,
Yeah.
the whole point of that was he was gathering information based on that. And they cut it out. And ultimately, I think that was one of those scenes they should have kept in. Yeah, it would have been a few extra seconds, but I think it would have been a scene worth keeping.
The thing
I
is,
love the
they
fact
feared
that
it was
he
going
uses
to confuse
roses to
people.
hide the shotgun.
They actually feared it would confuse people because the T1000 is not looking at anything but touching everything. So he doesn't express that kind of use or action anywhere else in the movie. So when he's going through that room and touching everything, it's kind of odd. And they would actually find that you would actually have to explain that because it was never employed later on. Now, before we get too far ahead and away from the bar scene, I think it was Speaker that talked about this, the guy that, or the girl, the woman, the barkeep, or the waitress. If you pay attention to that scene in Terminator, or the Terminator vision, you actually see her standing at the door and you see her receive the cue to walk forward. Also, the woman that's at the jukebox is Eddie Furlong's stand-in.
You're kidding.
Nope. It's actually his stand-in.
I'll have to rewatch that now. Cool.
Like I said, when you play the special edition from the DVD from years back, they have the words and they even put different things on the screen that shows you, like, this is a matte painting. You see a mistake here, and they put little arrows here. The fight in the mall, when they're fighting in that one store area, you will actually see a guy grab something and pull it out of frame because that was a franchise, or that was a sponsor that pulled their sponsorship, so they couldn't have it in the movie. So you see that guy quickly grabbing it to get it out of frame.
What's nice thing about that little fight scene after he says "get down," though, is neither him. I mean, Schwarzenegger and Patrick are fighting. I mean, they're not, and they are literally stone faced.
Well, yeah,
they are
obviously they would.
like they're showing no. I mean, and of course they're not supposed to show emotion. They're robots. Why would they show emotion? But just the way they fight like that is just crazy. They don't even bother. You can kind of see in their mind they're processing what's going on. All they're like, but it's like, up, enemy, kill, and they don't even register emotion. But it was just such a good fight scene. And then when you look at their face, there's no expression. It's like, I don't know who told them how to do that, but man, Schwarzenegger and
Mind coach.
Yeah. Hey, just act like you guys are doing your taxes.
It's actually a mind coach that teaches them to do that. Another thing I forgot to point out. Sorry. The guy that took the picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger getting up was 1L19 from T1.
Really?
No way.
Yep. It was the cop that the Terminator grabs, smack, and then kills.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
L19.
Interesting. The thing I was going to bring up, the fact that as you were saying, the way he did it, he wanted the fighting to be very wooden. They're very mechanical, almost like grappling or like very like wrestling and everything, something along those lines. But it just have them slamming in each other into things, more or less. There wasn't a whole lot of artistry, or this wasn't like mixed martial arts or anything like that. It was just very basic grappling with one another. Because honestly, that's very mechanical, and that's honestly the way two machines essentially would fight. And the choreographing, while you would probably think it was very simplistic, honestly, it was very, very planned out, particularly in the factory scene, because they were around a lot of dangerous machinery and what have you, and they had to take a lot of precautions, especially with Schwarzenegger, but also with Patrick and everything. And I love the fact that this is almost a game of wills between the T-800 and the T-1000. And the T-800 saying, look, I know what it knows, what I know what it knows. We both have the same files about Dyson and everything else. We're programmed with all the same stuff. And he's trying to tell John, we should not go to the penitentiary. We should not go to the psychiatric penitentiary or what have you. And John's like, I don't care. We're going. It's my mom. And you see, there's a couple times when the T-800 looks at John and thinks, I can't. You almost get this thought, I cannot believe I have to listen to this little pipsqueak. Yeah, RR, you hit it right on the head. It's brute force. It was like the immovable object against the unstoppable force, essentially. So, but the other thing I found intriguing about this is we've kind of touched on this a little while ago. Our first introduction to Sarah Connor is completely a lady from how we introduced to her in the original Terminator. She is in the psychiatric penitentiary. She's in her room. She is guided upended, and she's working out. She is buff. She is ripped. She is one badass. 100%. I'll go, no quit, kick your ass, and not even apologize for it. Badass. And the sad thing is, that role, and this is just my personal opinion, that role has yet to be topped. And I know we've gotten some decent female heroines in cinema over the last couple of decades. Sarah Connor from Terminator 2 Judgment Day has not been matched.
Linda Hamilton didn't even want to come back to the movie unless she was to play a crazy person.
Well, here's the thing. I never like,
well, Linda Hamilton's a little crazy herself.
Crazy.
Classic, you were saying? Go ahead.
Well, Linda Hamilton's a little crazy herself. She's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, but all the same.
And John Connor's a little dick.
True. But he has to, because think about how this kid has grown up. And honestly, you've got to have some sympathy for John, and I will even say you have to have some sympathy for Sarah, because they are both. I hate that I don't hate that I'm using this quote. And Loki's going to hate me for saying this after he watches the replay if he isn't in the chat. They are both burdened with glorious purpose. Loki, don't hurt me, because they are looking at the clock. They're looking at the calendar. They're watching the years click by. And Sarah knows eventually Skynet's going to come online, the bombs are going to fall, and the world's going to go to crap. And she was doing everything she possibly could. And think about this. Over Easy Mode, yeah, James Cameron and Linda Hamilton were married, I think, for I don't know how long, but yeah, they were married. They were married for a while. And then they divorced, unfortunately. But you've got to really think about this. Having knowledge of future events, potential knowledge of a potential future event that is so horrific, and you have pretty much dedicated your entire life to trying to prevent it, and it can drive a person nuts. And in Sarah's case, unfortunately, it does, because no one wants to listen to her, no one wants to believe her. The government has covered this up. Cyberdyne's gotten the chip and the arm from the first T-800, and they're working their little. They don't know any better. They figure they're just trying to create something new and cool, and I can respect that. These are scientists. These are computer scientists. These are technicians, so on. They're just trying to make the world a better place in their own way, and that's a complete noble aspiration to pursue. They don't know what's going to come down the road, but Sarah does. And in a manner of speaking, so does John.
Yeah, but John stopped believing a long time ago because, I mean, he had that same problem anybody would have. He didn't, he wasn't there when his dad was alive. He didn't get raised. He got raised around that stuff, and all of a sudden somebody tells him, we're going to throw you in foster care, and oh, by the way, your mom's a nut job, and nothing she said was really true. But, I mean, essentially. But then you have when, it's all said and done at the end of that whole fight scene. Mm-hmm. John's trying to hug her, and Sarah hugs him for just a split second, and then she starts feeling his body for bullet holes, wounds, and everything. She's concerned about, she's berating him, like, why are you so stupid to come after me? You are too important.
Yeah, you're too important.
Waste your time with me. I mean, she basically went from someone who was an innocent woman to being like, my son is
hard. She is hard. She is.
Yeah.
I would almost. She is so single-minded in purpose that everything else in the world doesn't matter. Even her instincts as a mother have been overridden by the fact that she's trying to protect her son, but she's almost not protecting him like a son. She's protecting him like a Terminator, like a mercenary would protect a mark or a contract or something. And that may not be the most accurate metaphor, but I think it's fairly close. If y'all can think of a better one, obviously, please share.
Maybe the opposite. Well, never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
Well, when she breaks out and what she does to the doctor, breaks his arm, and he's whining about it. And she's like, that's one bone. You have 213 bones in your body, and then sticks him with the drain, with the cleaner.
Drainer,
that is just like, it's smart. It's ruthless. It is just, you really get a feel for who she is now, in that scene.
And then when he says the whole thing, like, they're like, oh, you're not a killer. And then she goes, you're already dead. We're all dead. I know it. I believe it. Don't fuck with me. And it was like, I think you realize, I think at that very split second, it was like, she will actually kill me because she really believes this. Because in her mind, whether she's right or wrong, as far as she's concerned, she's not a murderer because he was going to be dead to begin with. As far as she was concerned,
he was going to get
to her. She's already dead.
Oh shit, she's serious.
Well, and then the scene with the two twins at the coffee machine. Oh my gosh, that was just, he comes off the floor. Yeah. I'm like, that is freaking awesome.
I love the fact in the extended version, you see the guards there in the penitentiary. They're a lot more brutal than you see in the theatrical cut, and I think they actually add some weight. Oh, yeah, I hated that one guy and everything. Dougie,
when
I think she calls him.
I was
Dougie.
like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I love. You know what, that moment where she picks the lock and she comes out and she's broken the mop handle and she knocks the ever loving crap out of him. And I think honestly she probably killed him. You know, Kathia and everything, and also RR, they made two very good comments. And to the chat, LGD Pixels, welcome. Glad you could join us this evening. So,
she's absolutely right there.
Yeah, well, RR both they hit it right. I think they've had good points. If I can get this stupid thing to call it, there we go. She was okay. Hold on. All right, here we go. She was only concerned about him only for what he'll do in the future, not as her son. She had the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. Yeah,
Okay.
she did.
Yeah, she did.
And what Kathia followed up, she had more than just her son to prepare for. This is a holy mission. I would agree with that.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole world and all humanity is in her hands. I think that's a very insightful observation, Kathia and R. Both of you. Well done.
Okay, also remember this. It's never said, but let's be honest. We all know Sarah Connor is dead by the time he's going to be the savior. It's never said, but we know she dies at some point. So she was not going to live to see the end of this. So she already knew that no matter what, she wasn't going to live to see what happened. All she knew was the man she loved told her, your son is a savior. Well, what do you do other than that when you have some crazy ass machine trying to kill you?
Yeah, honestly. Classic, your thoughts on what we've been discussing thus far?
Well, as far as her being not loving her son, I mean, obviously she's becoming a complete obsessive at this point.
Yeah,
and
I would agree with that.
In a sense, she is kind of more concerned with her son in the sense of the role he has to play, maybe. And she, part of the whole part of her character arc is that she ceased to be kind of a maternal figure. She's not nurturing. She's, again, been training him. And again, as we already discussed, she kind of becomes increasingly sort of loses her humanity in order to kind of do what she feels needs to be done.
She's giving him nature versus nurture.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say, very much so. And, I don't know how I honestly could react if I had knowledge of future events. I don't know if it would drive me as nuts. Okay, I don't want to say nuts. That's not. It doesn't seem accurate.
I can tell you.
I think obsessive, almost extreme obsessive, and I think if I knew I had the power to change the future, how far would I go? And this is a snapshot of how theoretically or hypothetically how far a person would go to try and save the world. They would do everything in their power, no matter how unhinged everybody may perceive them. And I think honestly, what Cameron did with this second movie, this was John's story and the mayor speaking, but this is also very much Sarah's story and everything. This was her coming to grips with the fact that her son is growing up, that his destiny is coming barreling towards the both of them. But unfortunately, what you have with John, and I'm going to say this about the foster parents, Janelle and Todd.
It wasn't.
I know.
Wasn't the foster mom in Aliens?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was Vasquez. She was also. Fun fact: she was also in Titanic.
Yep.
Was she?
Yes. She was the one Irish lady. She was the one Irish mother with the two little kids.
I don't want to think about that now. I know who you're talking about. That scene will make me cry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I'll say this. I could not imagine what it'd be like to try and raise to be a foster parent to a child like John. And Todd was kind of a, well, as John said, he's kind of a dick. Yeah, that too. But Janelle seemed decent, and I honestly felt like she did care about John to an extent. And I think even Todd did and everything. It was just he was kind of a more laid back parental figure than Janelle was, where she was very much trying to be the maternal influence in his life. The problem was John had not had let's just be honest here, he had not had a traditional childhood to any extent. So
there is one, or you, if I may, Janelle, as you said, she is the more, or she's the one that actually tried more.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell after he ignores her when he tries to tell, or when she tries to tell him to go and, I swear I have had it with that dang kid. She won't even, or he won't even answer me anymore. It basically tells you that she was the one that could actually get John to listen for a little bit. And Todd's Todd's just basically, he's like, yeah, this kid's a lost cause. I'm not even going to bother anymore.
Well, yeah, because
this is where I run into an issue as someone who has dealt with that. Okay, I'm not going to go into any details, but let's just say I know the foster care system very well.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those things like, that was so ridiculous because the kid was not adopted. And I can tell you hands down, he was not their adopted kid. He was what do they call it? Foster kid. Okay, let's just go. Anyway, he wasn't adopted. Mm-hmm. There's another term, and I used to know it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. And basically, the difference is if they adopt him, they don't get money. If they do adopt him, they don't get a certain amount of money. And that's how the funds work. You get money for being a foster parent, but not an adoptive parent. And no, I'm not kidding there. I've seen it.
Respite, I think, is the word you're looking for.
What was it?
Respite?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I mean, they're frustrated. I mean, basically, they're for lack of a better term, they're thinking he ain't worth the money. I mean, they ain't his foster parents. They're just the people giving him a place to crash, and they're collecting a paycheck. Nothing about them in any way, shape, or form made me think they gave a two shits about him.
They do actually.
He's got a motorcycle, and I mean,
yeah,
there's aspects of it because he actually cares about him. He acts like he doesn't at first, and then later he's like, "Yeah, they're kind of dicks," but when they're really in danger, he steps up and is like, "I got to do something."
He very much does, yeah. Because well, and Speaker said perfectly. He's like, Todd and I are kind of dicks, but I still gotta warn him.
Yeah,
and he's
right.
He may have kind of checked out as their foster son, but even so, there is still that moral compass within John that still tells him, I gotta warn him. I gotta tell him that there's something bad coming. But unfortunately, he's too late. And I won't lie, I felt bad and everything for the foster parents, for Todd and Janelle, in the manner of speaking. They didn't know what was going on. They were innocent bystanders in this war between humanity and Skynet. And it's unfortunate, but it did happen. The other thing, one of the other things I love about this film is I love honestly.
Oh no, my wife was asking, and I said, "Yeah, we're talking about Terminator."
The other thing that I love about this is the cold, methodical nature of the T-1000 and how Robert Patrick just absolutely owned that role.
Yeah.
I mean, and for a while, that's what he was known for until he got into other acting roles. And he's actually turned out to be a very good actor and everything, a surprisingly good actor. I would say one of my favorite roles that he did in the years after was when he played Johnny Cash's father in Walk the Line.
Yes.
Yeah, he was so good. He almost got typecast for that role forever.
I got to tell you, my favorite role of Robert Patrick, and I'm going to get some serious probably hate, and I don't care, X-Files.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I'd agree with that. I saw him in some of the X-Files. I thought he was good.
I absolutely loved his season. I thought he was the perfect replacement.
I would agree.
He was good in Stargate Atlantis, too.
Oh,
yeah, he was.
Oh, I was actually so pissed when I saw him die. No, I thought he was going to be part of the show.
Yeah. I remember he was in that. Fun fact about Robert Patrick: he did have a cameo in another '90s movie. It was a very brief one.
Wayne's World.
Yes, speaker. I was hoping someone would say it, so I didn't.
Sorry, I couldn't contain myself because I was just seeing it in my head.
He was in Last Action
Hero. Didn't he play as a T-1000?
Yeah,
Last Action Hero. Yeah.
Was he in The Last Action Hero? I didn't see
that. There's a scene where Schwarzenegger and the kid are coming out of a police station, and Patrick, as the T2, is going in. And of course the kid is like, "Whoa, what?" And you're like, "Wait, that's."
What was that movie? The one with anyway, it was Robert Patrick as T-1000, and then that oh god, I can't remember that actress's name. The one who did that very productive scenes in the 90s. She was
Sharon Stone.
Yeah, Sharon Stone. Thank you.
Oh wow,
Sharon Stone. Yeah, that one.
Over easy mode. Thank you. I did not. Okay. Don't hurt me. I have never seen Die Hard 2.
No, he was in Die Hard. He
no, Die Hard 2.
You never saw Die Hard 2?
Saw 1, saw 3, but I've never seen 2.
Giving you the look.
And I did see Live Free and Die Hard, but I've never seen the second one because I heard in the second one the wife dies.
What?
What? No, you've been misled.
No. Back to Terminator.
Okay. All right. Yes, back to Terminator.
Because there's a couple things,
The wife would die if in Die Hard 3 you heard they were divorced.
Yeah. I guess I was misled.
I think
by the way, while we're talking about actors and roles, of course, Janelle was played by Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez in Alien.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I couldn't think of the name of the actress. Thank you, Klaus. I appreciate that.
Now,
wasn't she in one of the Mel Gibson and Danny Glover? Wasn't she in Lethal Weapon 2? She gets blown up on the diving board.
Yeah.
I thought
I have seen Lethal Weapon 2. It's just been a while, so that might be true.
I had
that'd be a good one from stream.
Mother explained to me what the hell happened that moment when she got blown up. Hey, I was, 9-10 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, think about this, guys. Everybody in the chat, most likely, including ourselves, this was one of our very first action movies we got to see in theaters because we were old enough, relatively speaking, or past old enough, or at least where our parents would let us go see it. Because, as I said, it had no nudity, and that was one. And it had no sex scenes. All I had was violence and language, and our parents. I'm gonna say this about my mom and my dad and my grandmother. As long as I didn't cuss in front of them, they didn't care. And I think that's one of the great things about T2. You tell your kids, I catch you talking like them, you get grounded, but I don't care if you watch it.
It's funny for me. If I was going to think about the T2 when I saw it with my grandmother, would be like, when I saw Die Hard, and after we saw Die Hard in the movie theater, we left and we went and had dinner, and I was a young kid and everything, and I was like, yippee ki yay, and my grandmother just goes, motherfucker. Like,
oh my god, that's awesome.
I'm just like, no, literally. Okay, I'm gonna mute this. This is how that went. It was like yippee ki yay. She goes, motherfucker. I went,
Grandma?
Okay, that was the one line that my neither my mom or my grandmother, they never ever have used the F bomb or the MF bomb, either when I was a kid or now. That's the one line they'll never cross. And I respect them for it. That's just the way they were. But yeah, okay, going back just for a second to T1. When I finally got to watch it on VHS and everything, and it's the hotel scene just when the Terminator is looking through, I think it's Sarah's diary or her blue light book or whatever, and the landlord or the hotel manager comes up to the door and, what you got there, dead cat? And he's scrolling through insults, and he looks at him, F you asshole.
Fuck you, asshole.
Yep.
And I know some people kind of cringe the fact that John had more or less entire control over the T1, the T800. But at the same time, think about this. You're a kid John's age. How cool would it be is to have a unstoppable killing machine at your disposal?
You just given every kid their dream.
Remember, it is a killing machine. You cannot give it too much intelligence, or it's going to do exactly what Cyberdyne is trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, I love
Terminator.
when he makes him stand on one leg, and he's still standing on one leg when the two punks come up, and they're like, "Put your leg down."
Put your leg down.
That was
and then he's like,
about
"Put the gun down. What are you doing?"
Was when they
Put
asked,
the gun down now. And he actually puts it all the way down on the ground. He doesn't drop it. He puts it all the way down.
No,
that's his weapon. He's going to take care of his weapon.
One of the best scenes out of the whole T2 was, and this is why I'm glad I've got to see the extended cut, was where they were like, I have detailed 1,000 human anatomy. Well, that makes you efficient. Go, well, the more I interact with it, but Skynet has me on read-only mode.
I can actually drop that whole line if you want.
Do it.
Go ahead.
Basically, he's like, my CPU is a neural net processor, a learning computer, but Skynet presets the switch to read only when we're sent out alone. And she's like, don't want you to do too much thinking, right? Correct.
Yeah, well, as someone who knows all about RAM and read-only shit, but then we say, when John's like, well, what if we were to change it?
Can we reset the switch?
Yeah. And then the whole scene with them doing it. Okay, look, I don't care how they, I don't care that, her sister was there. That's great. They did it. But the point was, there was such a deep layer of story right there where they changed it. And then, the whole thing with, her, Sarah going like she was ready to just destroy things. She didn't want to take a chance.
She's like, you don't know how hard these things are to kill.
It is to kill these things. And if anything could go wrong, this could be our last chance. So move.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
sorry,
John
fill my eidetic memory, folks. Fill my eidetic memory.
Same here, Orange. Same here. I'm just letting everybody. I'm letting others have the spotlight. Beans. I kind of had the spotlight with the Fifth Element stream, where I kind of owned Loki. Say that one more time, Jess. Jess.
I said, "Oh, you're still talking about that? It was a good stream."
I know. Sorry,
but yeah, that was actually a very crucial moment in the special edition. because it's what he says after tells him to move. Look, Ma, if I'm supposed to be this great military leader, maybe it's time you listen to what I have to, or what I decide once in a while. Because if my own mother won't, how can I expect anyone else to?
Yep.
And you could tell she was not, or she's weighing the decisions, thinking about it, and she just right next to his hand, and she's like, "Fine, we'll play it your way."
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
think about it. Turns out John was right.
Well, think about it. When it comes to Miles Dyson, she actually thinks she might be able to change the future. I mean, for a minute. And she doesn't know if it'll work or not. She doesn't care. All she knows is she might actually be able to do something she has not been able to, and that is save her child. And
Well, not only save her child, but save all of humanity, essentially.
No. There's no.
Her psychology, or the psychology of that scene, is way different than you're explaining. She's not thinking of saving lives. She's thinking about ending one
to save billions.
It doesn't matter about the saving billions. She wants to save her son. That's all that matters. Yeah, she can say it's saving billions, but the truth is she's a parent, and that's all that mattered.
Well, I like her arc in this because she starts because she kind of flips. Like in the first movie, she goes from soft to hard. And then by the end of 2, when she's holding John as the Terminator drops into the metal, liquid metal, she's holding him like a mom again for the first time in the whole film. Like you actually see her transition back into, because she's just about lost him. And she's realized this is important too. And I really like that element. I mean, that's the thing about Terminator 2. There's no wasted space in this film. It's like just almost bing, 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 bing all the way through. And it never gets too bogged down. And it's just, I mean, it's one of the only movies I've ever watched where I never felt like, this is kind of filler. It's like you keep kind of wishing you had a little more. But
there it is.
Speaker, I got to tell you, I never thought about it quite the way you just said it. Now that's, that way she was, I was like, the way you said she never really treated him like a mom. I mean, I was saying basically that same thing, but I never said it like that. And you're right. Up until that moment, she never really treated him like a mother. And I mean, that was kind of a key thing. She was trying to protect him from literally day of conception. And I don't think she spent so much time trying to protect him. I don't think she ever really got a chance to be a mom. Never gonna enjoy the idea of the joy of motherhood or being a parent, because she had to prepare him for a war. Imagine how screwed up that would make your mind.
Yeah,
literally.
Thing is, if I may, I actually had a dream, or I actually sometimes even still have the same dreams, where I'm back in school before 9/11, and I tell people, well, 2001, 2 planes are going to hit the towers, and every time in the dream, they look at me like I'm freaking nuts. It doesn't matter. Basically, one of the theories that I have is after you die, there's kind of like a quasi reset button where you might be able to live your same life. Who knows all that stuff? But here's the thing. What if you do have that knowledge of events going forward? If that sort of reset happens, what would you do? Would you tell people that this and this and this is going to happen, or would you let it happen, or would you do a very proactive way of stopping it from happening? How can any one of us specifically stop 9/11? You can't.
If you want to ask an honest question, as someone who was very young in military service and got dropped back into it, now being retired, I don't think I don't know, say I could have stopped it, but I would have damn sure have tried. No in the
I
know.
mean,
I'm
so
sorry.
here's the thing.
You brought up I'm sorry. I was actually in an airplane landing to do mountain warfare training, so
Nice.
it's a kind of a touchy subject. Don't take it the wrong way, but yeah,
Yeah.
if I could have, maybe would have been able to do a damn thing. Probably not.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ambassador.
Yeah.
And everyone, I've got to take off. I've got a family thing that's just kind of come up. So
It's okay, Steve.
All right.
this has been awesome. I could talk about Terminator all night with you guys. So I
Yeah.
apologize, but
No.
yeah, thanks for letting me be in here, Ambassador. This was
Yeah.
awesome. Nice to meet all you guys and to get to stream with some of you again, Classic and Orange Hat. So
Nice to see you again, Speaker.
you guys have a great night.
Yeah, Baker. Peace, friend. You take care.
It's a good one.
Say it one more
Now-
time, Jess.
I think he
Jess?
froze.
No.
Yeah, he
didn't.
froze. All right. Now he's muted.
Okay.
I think he said he'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, one of the things that I was saying before technical difficulties was
Yeah.
she did want to save lives, of course, but her goal was to punish the one person that is responsible for all of it.
Hmm.
And you can tell exactly that or why that is, because when she gets up to him, just let the boy go, shut up, shut the F up. It's all your fault. And mother effer, it's all your fault. I'm not going to let you do it. And
Mhm.
this guy, you could tell the look on this guy. He's like, what?
What the heck are you talking about?
He has
'Cause
no
he doesn't
idea
either.
that he is responsible for the deaths of 3 billion people, like she says in the narration. I feel like I'm going to throw up. He took it pretty well. But it's.
I love that one quip. I do.
Yeah.
I love that one quip.
He
It's
took
not
it
every
pretty
day
well.
you-
I feel
It's
like
not
I'm
every
going
day
to
you learn
throw up.
that you're responsible for 3 billion deaths. You took it pretty well. You're judging me on things I haven't even done yet.
How are we supposed to know? Yeah.
No.
And she's
and
like,
she goes into
yeah,
guys like you.
men like you
Brought
built
up
a hydrogen bomb.
bomb.
Men like you
Men like you
thought it up.
brought it up. You don't really know what it's like to create life, to feel it growing inside you. All you know is how to create death and destruction.
Mom!
He's like, Mom, this really isn't helping us right now.
In Miles' defense, I didn't see him as creating destruction. I mean,
No.
That was never his intent.
No.
yeah, but here's the thing: people need to understand.
It never is.
No, but here's the thing: there is a difference between being stupid and being ignorant. Being
Yes.
ignorant is like someone like me. I am ignorant of certain things. I can't paint. I'm ignorant of painting. Now, you want me to fix your computer? I'm pretty sure I can do it. You want me to fix your engine? I am totally ignorant of. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm ignorant. Stupid is, in my mind, just incurable because you choose to go a certain way. Ignorance you can learn from.
The way I see it, stupidity is willful ignorance. In a way.
Yeah,
But I
can
mean,
see
the
your
whole
point
point
there.
of it too is, he was not. He was smart, but he was just ignorant. And once he's told, I mean, okay, we could nitpick that one. She told him he's responsible for billions of deaths, and he's like, I'm going to throw up. They could have easily have played as like, oh, you're so full of shit. I could never do that. I would never do that. No, I'm sorry. No, they
Well,
are actually
that's-
like they actually were like, shit, I may actually be doing what you're saying because
Mhm.
you know they didn't play around with the stupid concept. They were like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, what I'm doing, what you're saying might actually jive together, and it scared the shit out of him. Now
It's
that's something.
because the
Ain't
one thing that they showed him
Yeah,
that he chose to, or that he believed him. They showed him incontrovertible evidence that what he is doing led to, or that what he was studying would lead to what they went after him for. When Arnold slices his arm or slices the skin off of his arm and rips it off.
but he was
Right.
willing to accept he was wrong and willing to accept the future to try to change something, which is a contradiction in terms because, you know, if we've all been sci-fi fans long enough, you know, it's like, well, if I do this, how do I know this won't change this? And we go right back to what we're doing with time travel, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Just-
there is one.
I just go with Back to the Future. If I haven't hit 88 miles per hour, I'm good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The thing is, when they're discussing it and all that, and he says, we're going to have to destroy everything at the lab and this and that, and they tell him it's not good enough, and T-800 says nobody must follow your work. Oh, look, there's deer outside. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But
It's okay.
Oh wait, what kind of deer you get? Yeah,
Doan or Doan Fawn. But anyway,
damn, you got me excited.
but anyway, that was actually not what I was going to talk about. There were his intentions, Dyson's intentions for Skynet was not military. Because in the special edition, you see that he is talking to his wife during the whole Raging Waters thing. And he's like, imagine you need to get on a plane. You don't have a pilot who comes to work with a hangover. Meet the pilot. He was thinking about it from not a military point, but from a civilian point.
Yep.
It was never his intention to make a war computer. The military got a hold of Skynet, and they said their applications for it run more than just civilian. We could use this to run it all. And that's how it is explained. But or stealth bombers and all that, they fly with a perfect operational record. Then the Skynet funding bill is passed and it goes online. Then it flies with the perfect operational record. Then it becomes self-aware. And that's when it starts to realize that humans are a threat to it.
And that's someone who has spent 20 years in computers, worked in the intelligence department. You ain't got nothing to worry about. We ain't got no AIs getting up there. I still got guys. Look, everybody thinks the military has the most latest hardware, state of the art. Look,
they don't.
When I left the military a couple of years ago, we still had people that we had to make blocks of security codes for so they could still run Windows 10 for a piece of graphics software. So they could, because the software company no longer existed, and for some reason, nobody wanted to get off their ass and find a new software. And none of the idiots who were running the software wanted to learn a new one. So I'm telling you, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Hit. And I'm talking, nothing I'm telling you is classified. I'm just telling you what I saw. It was crazy as hell.
One of the funny things is I have an Echo Dot with Amazon. What's her name? I'm not going to say it right now. I've actually asked her, do you know Skynet? And you want to know what she'll say? We don't really talk. We don't really talk after what happened.
Now, what'd you face that Siri?
Okay, that's on.
You want me to actually ask her for you guys?
I don't know.
Do it. Go for it.
What?
Okay.
Alexa,
Theory.
do you know Skynet?
We don't really talk after what happened.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
We don't really talk after what happened.
Great.
Wow. Okay.
That is
That's
so
creepy.
funny.
Hey, Theory, do you know Skynet?
Skynet is a fictional artificial neural network-based conscious group mind, an artificial general superintelligence system that serves as an antagonist in the Terminator franchise.
Yeah,
Okay,
series
different answers.
two.
nothing yet.
Yeah. Thing is, Alexa, never mind. Sorry, I said her name. She is an actual AI. She actually can learn your patterns and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Serious.
they do, but they also have inhibitors on her programming, meaning she will not learn to do certain things. If you say anything where that swear word, she will not discuss it. If you ask her to, or if you ask her certain things, she will not say.
Hmm.
So she will actually not, or now, yes, you can also, or you will know from Steven Crowder and whatnot, she has a certain leaning, but that's based on her programmers, not her programming.
Mhm.
Orange Hat, you know Steven Crowder.
Everybody knows Steven
Not
Crowder.
personally.
Oh, yeah, what? I'm supposed to know you guys know Steven Crowder.
Everybody
I've-
does. Anybody who's
I've-
on
I know who he
YouTube.
is.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm the idiot who assumes everybody is not like me.
You're not an idiot.
No one says he's an idiot, man.
I was making a sarcastic joke.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I know.
But yeah,
Well, wait a minute.
um,
Oh, nice. I make a
oh,
sarcastic joke. You all double back on me.
well,
I
we
admit-
didn't. I have a reason. I'm autistic. I cannot understand subtle humor.
I can, but that's just me. So.
But yeah, we never talked
Well-
about the desert scene or the Salsada's his helm and whatnot. The special
Hector?
edition actually has the T8, or they showed a storyboards of the T1000 going to his place looking for them,
Hey,
and
Orange
Salsada
Hat,
actually dies by the T1000.
I gotta say, classic comic ambassador Orange Hat.
Mhm.
I gotta go to bed. My wife's ready to go sleep, and you know,
That's okay.
definitely do not want to piss off the wife.
No.
Happy wife,
That's
happy
it.
life, man.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. You guys have a good one. I look forward to hearing what you all talked about tomorrow.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Peace,
Alright.
Jesse. Take care, bud. Well, we're
Yeah.
probably going to wrap up here in a few minutes anyway. So, Orange will cover your 2 points, and then we'll probably do a wrap up and
Yeah.
call it a night.
But yeah, the storyboard that they have is he actually goes up, he uses his fingers as spikes, pins Salsada to the wall. I know this hurts. Where are they? Salsada actually grabs a
Do you mean
grenade.
Sarah? Oh,
No,
you're talking about
Salsada, her friend.
The Hispanic
Oh,
guy.
you're talking about Hector.
Yeah. His last name's Salsada.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was
But
Hector.
actually it's Enrique, I believe his last name. was.
Enrique. Yeah, why did I say
Yeah.
Hector? Enrique. Yeah, you're right. You're
But
right.
he's pinned to the thing. He grabs a grenade and he moves forward from
Mhm.
onto the spikes closer to the T1000, pulls the
Mhm.
pin, puts it down or shoves it down T1000's face, and it blows. Now Salsada is dead, obviously, but you then see the T1000 coming up, reforming, and then he grabs his head liquidized and it regrows and whatnot. And that's when, or that's, you see that before he shows up at the Dyson residence, because the T1000, everybody's wondering why or how did
why would he show up at Dyson's residence? Well, you got to think about it logically, or the T1000 knows what the T800 knows. He might anticipate this move, and he does. And you gotta actually wonder: is there a sense of wonderment going through the T1000? It's mine. This is basically where everything that has created me started. This is where Skynet was born.
I never got that impression.
I mean, you don't get that impression, sure, but you gotta wonder: does it ever run through a mechanical mind? You know,
it could. It very much could. I mean, theoretically, it could. That is a possibility. So,
yeah.
But yeah. These two movies, obviously, they're a great action story. They're a great sci-fi story. They are a great time travel story, truthfully. And if obviously everybody and their mother has watched these, but I hope what we've presented tonight is some further insight into the inner workings of the minds of the characters, of the people that worked on it, and what have you. And honestly, guys, this has been a blast. I won't lie. So, anything either one of you guys want to plug for your channels before we sign off?
Yeah. Well, most of you guys know who I am, but for those of you who don't, I'm Orange Hat Reviews. I do movie reviews, entertainment news. I give my fullest opinion, uncensored and whatnot. This Friday coming up, the 10th, I am doing a versus stream of Goku versus Superman. I've been doing these for a few weeks now. This is going to be the third one, and we're pulling out the big guns with Goku versus Superman. It's been discussed before, but I actually have 6 other panelists joining me, and we're going to have to rotate myself out for the 6th panelist to come in and give a talk to it. But yeah, it's going to be Friday the 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and I will be there. So,
yep.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. So, folks, like you said, if you have not subscribed to Orange Hat Reviews, the link to his channel should be in the chat. My moderator, obviously, Shaya has put it in there. So, subscribe to this guy. He does good stuff. Classic, what about you? Anything you want to plug for your channel coming up?
Yeah, I'll just mention my channel, Classic Comics. I do reviews on comics and film and television, mostly kind of sci-fi, superhero-related stuff. I'm actually going to put out a video tomorrow about basically about Star Trek, about the state of the franchise, and why I think Star Trek's time is probably kind of come and gone.
It is.
Sadly, yeah, I think that's unfortunate.
Fair assessment.
Yeah, and it makes me sad because I didn't even watch Picard, but I heard so much about it. Now I've heard people say they liked it, and hey, if you did, more power to you and everything. But
well, Picard wasn't good, but I mean, it goes beyond that. There are other issues I think it's facing that
I
beyond just that.
So, well, and folks, as always, you know why you're here. You know what I cover. Coming up this coming week, I'm going to be resuming my next installment of Babylon 5 review with Afternoons with the Ambassador with Adega and possibly Jesse if he feels up to it. So that'll be at 12 o'clock Central Time. I guess 12 o'clock same for everybody, but just in case it isn't, 12 p.m. Central. And then Wednesday night, I'm also going to be resuming my beings. We're all still kind of locked down. Going to be continuing my Lost Gems from the Disney Vault that you can find on Disney Plus. This week we're going to cover a couple of animated, more obscure classics. We're going to be talking about The Sword and the Stone and Robin Hood. The animated Robin Hood with all the animals. So
Two good movies.
I love that movie.
that'll be 7. That'll probably be around 7:30 Central Time, give or take. And then, of course, I'll be on Orange Hat's stream and everything Friday, and then, of course, Saturday. I'll be back. We'll be back here with another edition of the Ambassadorial Wing. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for next week, but I've got a week. I'll figure it out because I've gotten several ideas. I've got several things lined up. But a couple of things that will be coming up for the channel in the weeks to come. I am going to do either I'm going to do a pre-recorded or I'm going to do a stream on the DCEU movies that I covered or that I watched, that being Shazam, Aquaman, and Joker. And a couple other movies I'm going to be reviewing. One's going to be the 1980s classic Excalibur. And sometime in the next couple of weeks or so, I'm actually going to do a karaoke night. But it's going to be a karaoke night with a twist. It's going to be a karaoke night with a twist. We're going to cover the music of the 1980s, and we're going to talk the music landscape of the 1980s, that being MTV, the innovation of the music video, all the great music from the 1980s, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a little karaoke, so be sure to tune in for that. Like I said, I'll keep everybody posted on Twitter and so on. And if you are on the Gray Order Discord or anything, you can follow me there as well. Obviously, you can follow me on Twitter at AmbassadorKosh7. So if you got anything you want to talk to me about, tweet me, DM me. I do respond to DMs. Both these guys will attest to that fact. So, and yeah, guys, this has been a blast. I appreciate everybody who was on tonight, even though Loki couldn't unfortunately participate. I hope he gets things on his end because I miss my Lord of Mischief. He's a blast.
We got a latecomer, Philip Gaiman.
Hey, Philip. Sorry, Philip. You'll have to catch us on the rewind. We're just wrapping up. So, folks, again, to everybody in the chat, and it's more than I can possibly list, but to everybody that's been here, I greatly appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this stream. To, of course, my moderator, Shea Storm Dragon, and my other mod, Kathia Star. You guys are you are the part of the backbone of this channel, and I could not do it without y'all. So until next time, folks, this is the Ambassador and Classic Comics and Orange Hat signing off.
You are terminated.